Hi, so today we're going to talk about fruit. Rotten fruit, actually. We're going to talk about the war on drugs and all of the rotten fruit that is born to bear. The United States has the world's highest prison population. A lot of this is attributed to the war on drugs, and that in turn it destroys families and the communities, their economies. Um, it destroys a lot of lives, and it has over the last 30 to 40 years. And I propose to fix this problem, we change the way we think about drug addiction and drug abuse. And I propose that we treat it more as a health problem instead of a criminal problem. Stop throwing people in prison for victimless crimes. So, the first problem with the war on drugs is mass incarceration. Each state, on average, spends $39 billion annually just to maintain prisons. In 2010, the average cost per inmate annually was over $30,000. State prison populations, they've increased over 700% since the 70s, and that's not counting federal prison numbers. And for those of you that know history, you'll know that the war on drugs began in the 70s. So, just to compare the money that we spend on putting people in prison to the money we spend on educating our children, I've got a few statistics here from the Bureau of Education themselves, and I'll quote, over the past 3 decades, between 1979 and 1980, and 2012-2013, state and local expenditures for P through 12 education doubled from 258 to 534 billion dollars, while state and local expenditures for corrections quadrupled from 17 to 71 billion dollars. So to put that short, more than 200% increase for putting people in prison compared to educating children. uh, on average, funding increased by 44% for prisons, while funding fell for education by 28%. Those are all statistics from the Bureau of Education themselves in a report that they published in 2016. So the number of people in prison for drug charges is it's incredible. Actually, 31% of inmates in America are in prison due to a drug offense, and those inmates have a recidivism rate of 76% within 5 years. So that means that people who've been released from prison, 76% of them are going to commit crime again and end up back in state custody or federal custody. And the real losers here are those children. That statistic, it leaves 1.7 million children with at least one parent incarcerated, maybe both. The effects on children's education is also incredible. Here locally in Baltimore, there are roughly 30,000 children with at least one parent behind bars, and we also happen to have one of the lowest graduation rates in the country. Somewhere at 41%, I believe, of high school seniors graduate on time. And as you probably know, we also have some of the worst high crime in the nation. Baltimore is one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. So obviously we see that putting people in prison, it destroys families, and it destroys futures. Me personally, I've experienced this. My father went to prison when I was a child for narcotics abuse. I grew up with my mother, who was also a narcotics addict, and that had a great deal of effect on me personally. So, I mean, I can speak from a first-hand perspective on the damage that it can do. So, my solution, or my proposed solution, would be to follow the country of Portugal. They were the first country to mass decriminalize substance abuse and small-scale possession back in 2001, and the results were dramatic. The amount of people incarcerated for drug-related offenses was cut in half. The cost per capita of drug misuse dropped by 18%. I mean, could you imagine if we cut our 80 billion annually by 18%, where else that money could go? 60% of drug users have sought treatment in Portugal, and they have a rehabilitation success rate of over 70% for opioids, which is it's more than double ours, which is incredible. And another issue with opioids abuse is uh, disease being passed through dirty needles. Their annual drug-related AIDS contractions dropped from 624 to 74 within 10 years. So, um, like I said, I think that we should follow Portugal's program, and we should end the war on drugs. We should treat addiction more as a health concern instead of a criminal one. People are obviously more likely to seek help. We can end the stigma around addiction and get people the help that they need. We decrease the prison population, and we keep more families together.